Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. I want to put a little box in the corner of the screen there. If you see that, that is, there it is. You see that is a monitor of what's happening in the House Puerto Rico vote we told you about last night. You can read about it at foxnews.com. This is the only place that is talking about what is happening. It was supposed to happen before this program, then it was 5 o'clock, then it was 6 o'clock. Now the vote is going to happen sometime, maybe after 6 o'clock, because there are people, because of you, inside the House of Representatives right now trying to derail this vote because they know exactly what it is. And it's not about Puerto Rico. It's not about race. It's not about anything else but being straight. I can't tell you how many people called today and said, oh my gosh, Glenn, I have to tell you, they lied to me when they came into my office. I bet they did. Nothing is as it seems. And that's what you will take away from today's show, because we're going to expose something that will boggle your mind. We're back on the cap and trade and the, well, what I call it, Crime Inc. You will begin to understand today that the U.S. government is turning into Crime Incorporated. The second thing that they're learning now in the House of Representatives, nothing is as it seems. Trust no one. Nothing is as it seems. And the third one is, why cap and trade? Why immigration? Why are all these things happening? The real story on what cap and trade really means and why it's being pushed, all tonight. Stay with us. Hello, America. On Monday, I gave you a story and I explained that if you can't have financial regulation done, by honest people, you shouldn't have it done. It's being done by crooks and thieves that we currently have in Washington. The best way I can explain this, when I got together with my staff this morning, I said, can you give me footage of George Clooney in Ocean's 11? This is my favorite movie. George Clooney, Ocean's 11. Do you remember the scene if you ever saw it? Here's Andy Garcia's character. He runs a casino. He's down in the vaults where you cannot steal any of the money from all of these casinos. Well, they find out that somebody's stealing it, so he calls the police. But in this movie, he wasn't calling the police. He was calling these guys. He thought they were the police, but they weren't. They were the crooks. It was George Clooney's crew dressed as cops. They rigged the phone lines. The real cops had no clue. He actually called the robbers to come and help the crime that they were committing. So, here is Andy Garcia. This is us. This is our financial scandal. Do you remember this? That is the day that so many people lost their life savings. Scandal. Who did that to us? Well, it's been 17 months and nobody's been arrested. No explanation on anything. Why is that? And then we have this new regulation with the federal government saying, oh, we've got to stop all. We need federal regulation. That we find out today that in that federal regulation, the FTC will have new control over the internet. Why is that? Because the cops we have called, we're Andy Garcia, the cops we called aren't cops. They're the robbers. And I want to show you what's happening. The only difference between that movie and this, well, there's two. One, that was a movie. This is real life. And two, there are trillions of dollars at stake. On Monday, I asked the question, after 17 months, why is Goldman Sachs the only bad guy? There are plenty of bad guys to go around on this. Fannie, Freddie, Congress, other banks. Why is it just Goldman Sachs? That question led me to show you something that originally came in from a watchdog on this program. That's somebody who just emails us information. Tiffany, can you put the email address at Beck Tips? Could you put that? I don't even know what it is. Or I read Twitter every night, and I see the things that people are tweeting, and we try to follow them. It led us, looking for one bad guy, into a wormhole of bad guys. The Chicago Climate Exchange. And you won't believe what we found today. By the way, I want to preface this with, I'm not suicidal, I'm not depressed, I don't like to swim with the fishes, I don't like concrete boots, I'm a very good driver, I've just had my brakes checked, so if something happens, I think you might know who did it. I want to give you a quick review of what we've covered so far so you can get up to speed, because we're the only ones exposing this. First of all, you have to understand what cap and trade is. It is trading puffs of air. A company pollutes more than another company. That company has to buy the puffs of air from the other company. Basically, it is transfer of wealth. It's redistribution of wealth. Here's how it goes. Cap and trade. You've got a 10 cupcake cap. That's the cap part. 10 cupcake cap. Michael Moore is me. I like my cupcakes, and so does Michael. I'm going to eat more than 10 cupcakes if I choose. Well, under cap and trade, every citizen is capped at 10 cupcakes. So we used to have a picture of a model, I don't know what happened, but she was very skinny, and she didn't like cupcakes. So he has to buy, he'll trade money, trade for her cupcake certificates because she's too skinny. She doesn't like cupcakes. He loves them. He wants more than 10. Do you have it? The haves give to the have-nots because they have something. Cupcake certificates, which aren't real. You want more cupcakes? Go get more cupcakes. It's like going to the beach and somebody selling you a bucket of salt water. Why would I buy a bucket from you? I can go get it right here. It's what I like to call a scam. Okay? It's a scam. Cap and trade is a scam. Now, if I'm going to make this into an industry, I've got a to-do list. First thing I have to do is come up with an exchange, a way, someplace where people can trade their cupcake certificates. Got it? 2, I need people who will help me build this, investors that buy into this for some reason or another. Maybe they just really care about cupcakes. Then the third is I need some sort of technology that helps this system work. 4, I need the law. I need the law to tell me you can't eat more than 10 cupcakes or without a certificate. That's an important one. And then 5, I need a cover because remember, this is a scam. Okay, so on Monday, I started asking you, why is it only Goldman Sachs? Because if Goldman Sachs is the bad guy, they're involved in some other big things. And this is where we started. Carbon exchange, our to-do list. First, we have to put together a carbon exchange. Well, good news, the Joyce Foundation. The Joyce Foundation. They steer $1.1 million in grants to develop and launch the privately owned Chicago Climate Exchange, right here. Who's on the board? Valerie Jarrett and Barack Obama. They give this, Valerie Jarrett in 2003, gives the money to the Chicago Climate Exchange. Okay, so they open up the doors of the Climate Exchange. Thank you. I love you, Barack. Chicago. So, now, we need investors. We have the Joyce Foundation. They've opened the carbon exchange. Now we need investors. Who can we find? Who can we find? A company in Great Britain called Generation something or other. Al Gore. Al Gore and 2 partners that formerly were with Goldman Sachs, GIM. They are the 5th largest shareholder in the Chicago Climate Exchange. Gore's company has several former Goldman employees on the roster. This is where I took you on, Monday and said, gee, if they're so bad, how come we're allowing them to get into the carbon exchange business? CCX, 5th largest investor. Then Goldman Sachs themselves step to the plate and they buy 10% of the climate exchange or carbon exchange in Chicago. Okay, so we have the exchange, we have investors, but we don't have technology. We don't have the big board. We don't have the system of selling air, puffs of smoke. So, under the leadership of Franklin Raines, they find the technology. Now, Franklin Raines is at Fannie Mae. Do you remember Fannie Mae? Fannie Mae is currently one of the bad guys that everybody's saying, wait a minute, why is Goldman Sachs just being hung out to dry? Why isn't Freddie or Fannie? Fannie Mae is the mortgage industry that has bundled up mortgages like crazy and created a lot of the problems that we have. In fact, Franklin Raines, really bad dude. Franklin Raines, you might remember him from the Clinton administration. So we have some ties to Clinton now. Clinton administration, he ran the Office of Management for the Budget. He's now running Fannie Mae for 5 years. In that 5-year period, Franklin Raines, your tax dollars, makes $90 million. In a 5-year period, $90 million. His take. He's also the guy, you might remember the stories, he inflated the earnings of Fannie so he could get those bonuses.